A shape-shifting ninja, one of the first heroes of Japanese cinema? Find out today on Asian Horror Bento Bits. Let's check it out. Hey everyone, welcome to the first episode of Asian Horror Bento Bits. My name is Ed. I am the curator here at the Insomniac Drive-In, and I really am glad that you're here for what I hope to be a good long series here on this channel. As I mentioned in our Zero episode, I didn't really know that much about Asian horror and sci-fi, and looking back, I seem to have a little more of a connection with it than I thought I did. Growing up, on Saturday afternoons, there was a show out of Boston. We were in upstate New York. It was called Creature Double Feature, and on that you would get the Universal, the Hammer horror films, and of course, the Toho Showa era films, Godzilla and Mothra and all of them. And we also threw in some Daimajin and Gamera. So my love for these films came in early. And as my horror tastes changed for, the slasher stuff and everything, that plays a part too. And I'm looking forward to jumping into all the different varieties of Asian horror out there. And I did fail to mention that we're going to touch on some other things while we do this. I'm hoping to cover the Asian superhero films, and I am a big fan of mecha anime. Growing up watching Battle of the Planets and Transor Z, I'm hoping to incorporate a lot of that into the channel as well, Robotech. That was just some other stuff that was on TV when I was younger. So today's film is called Jaraiya the Hero, also known as Jaraiya the Ninja, and it literally translates in English to Heroic Thunderboy. So this was a short that was produced and debuted on February 1st, 1921, and it's a really cool little film. It was released by the Nakatsu Corporation, and their first film was released in 1924, and they're still releasing movies today, though their last horror film was released in 2020, and it was called Draining Away Is Pure Longing a Sin? And I'm sure we will get to that probably many years down the road. So this film was directed by Shozo Makino. This was his fourth film, and he would only go on to direct two more after this before he passed away in 1929, around the age of 51. Now, the star of the movie, his name is, I hope I don't butcher this because I really don't know much Japanese, so bear with me as we continue along on this video podcast. His name is Matsunosuke Ono. If I'm wrong, please correct me in the comments below. He plays the lead role of Jaraiya. He was a kabuki artist, and it lists that he's been in at least 1,000 films, but this one was the most popular of them. I don't know how true that is on Letterboxd.com. They only list about 8 film credits, so maybe the hype machine was already in full swing back then. Who knows? So let's get into the synopsis of this, and I'll give you my thoughts along the way. And I do have some notes written, so bear with me here. It opens with a beautiful mountainside, and we see a waterfall, and on a hill is Jaraiya, his fiancée, and their young child, I believe. Our hero tells him of his childhood, of how he was found in the woods and taken in by this band of traveling people. Let me also let you know that this film, unlike the American silent films of its day, with it having many place cards in between the scenes, this really had only a couple chapter place cards. So I'm really going off of what I think is going on. So, it's all good, hopefully. And I think this is pretty much how it all happened. So he was found in the woods abandoned, and they take him in, and uh, the master, I guess, teaches him some cool tricks as he grows into becoming a thief and a ninja. And we flash back to the present day where he turns invisible in front of his fiancée and disappears. We switch to an encampment where some soldiers are training in swords play, and all of a sudden Jaraiya is in front of them and he attacks them. And we get some really cool choreography, some really cool fight scenes that I am sure inspired some of the Shaw Brothers stuff that we would see decades later. There's just some really cool stuff. He takes on about 10 swordsmen all by himself, and he pretty much just wipes the floor with them. He turns invisible, he teleports, and we get maybe one of the first man-in-suit scenes where he turns into a giant frog. I'm not kidding. It's amazing. And I was like, what the heck is going on? It was just the coolest thing ever. So the fight ends with him, I guess, growing tired of fighting these guys. He disappears, and the soldiers are left, I think, in a field, and water is spraying at them coming up from the bottom of the field. I don't know how that happened, but it was really, it was cool anyway, and you can see that the soldiers are infuriated. We switch to Jaraiya floating on some clouds with his fiancée, and then they disappear as well, getting away to safety. So the soldiers, one of the soldiers goes back to the ruler, whose name is Ashikaga, I believe. Ashikaga, that sounds right. And tells him how they were humiliated by Jaraiya, and you can just see the anger getting more and more in him. And he sends the troops out to stop him. But Jaraiya is already there on the balcony and listening in on this. And prior to this, Jaraiya and his fiancée meet up with an old acquaintance of his in the woods, but he does the disappearing act, and that's when he goes to the temple here to confront Ashikaga. They try to have a sit-down meeting to iron this all out, but things go badly, as they tend to do in these films, and we get another spectacular fight scene. This one's in the snow outside the temple, and there's just so much going on that's just really awesome. At one point, Jaraiya turns into a giant frog and eats two of the soldiers. I was like, oh my god. But then apparently the soldiers make it out alive. But it was still a cool scene nonetheless. His old friend and his fiancée show up to help him in the fight, and they are able to shapeshift as well. His friend turns into a giant snake, and his fiancée turns into a giant slug. So if his wife turns into a giant slug, and he turns into a giant toad, what will the child turn into? We'll never find out, but it makes some good fan fiction. X-Men material. First mutant, maybe. Who knows? Anyway, we get this huge fight, and the ruler is defeated with a magic sword. It's just it's cool. It's good stuff. And then we switch to a part that I was really kind of confused with in the ending, where they go to take down someone by the name of Priest Zenshu. And I'm really not sure how that fits into the rest of the story. Maybe someone with a little more expertise on this field can help me out on it. All in all, I thought it was a great short. It's about 20 minutes long, and you can find it on YouTube, and I will post the link below so you can check it out. It was just really cool, and I had a lot of fun watching it, and it just got me pumped for everything else that's going to be coming along the way. Speaking of what's next, we are going to be jumping ahead a couple years to 1926 for our next film, and it's called A Place of Madness. It is the first horror film I think Japan has done that's not lost, that we're able to find. And it's about a man whose wife has been imprisoned in an asylum, and he gets a job there hoping to free her from the asylum. And I don't really know anything else about it at the moment. I'm looking forward to watching that next week and sharing the info and the review with you here. And I will also post a link to that down below if you would like to watch that ahead of time as well, so you can be all versed up on it and come back here next week when we do this again. Hey, listen, I'm really enjoying starting this, and I'm glad that you're there along the way. Thank you for those that did some new subscriptions this week. I really appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to Edward Perry from the Joe Bob Briggs Mutant Collective group on Facebook. Dude, you're the reason we're doing this. Him and I talked on there about looking for a podcast on Asian horror, and we can't really find much out there. So, here we are, and I hope you enjoy this and you stick around for the ride as well. We also have a group on Facebook that will have updates about this podcast and our other podcast, What's on the Rack, a comic book one that we're doing. It's a great way to keep in touch, and you can get all the updates on the stuff we're going to be doing here, and I'll put the link in that below. So thank you for checking this out. I hope you have a great rest of your day, whatever you're doing or whenever you're watching this. I hope it's a good one for you. Make sure you like this video, give us some comments, subscribe to the channel, make sure you check that little bell so you get notifications when a new video starts, and we will see you here next week for another bite of Asian horror on the Asian Horror Bento Box. My name's Ed. Take care, guys.